Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Courtney. I'm a stay-at-home mom, wife, and author. And today I thought that I would pop in and chat with you about this little beauty. If you have been here for a while, you know, I think it's been close to 2 years that I have been sort of exclusively in a ring planner system. As really like my main sort of keeper of all of the things. And I wanted to talk to you for a bit about like why this works for me. Maybe you've been like on the fence about kind of dipping your toe into the ring water, so to speak. Or maybe you just love ring planners too, and you want me, and you're here to here to listen to me hype them up a little bit and give them some of the love that they deserve. They are sort of like the OG in the planner sphere, right? So, that my first reason and probably like the biggest reason that I love my ring planner is that everything is fully customizable. And I realize that knowing that can seem a little bit overwhelming, but I promise you, like it's not. And I was there too, like knowing that I was going to buy this planner and kind of had to build out the entire system from scratch, made me a little bit anxious. But in doing so, I have been able to discover a really like my sort of planner personality and the things that are essential to me in terms of running my life and running the lives of everyone else I'm in charge of. So you can see here that I am currently using this timed weekly, and then I have been using a day on 2 pages, but these are some of my inserts from last year. I went from, maybe this out of the way. I went from using this sort of weekly to a timed weekly because I was wanting to do different things with my week. I used this weekly that I did this was like a custom order weekly. I have done this very similar to the Hobonichi cousin layout with the kind of time, well, I guess you could use the timeline on either side. I used it on this side and then used this for kind of lists and notes and whatever else I needed to. You can see those. I'm trying to think, did I use? Then there were times when I used this kind of daily because I wanted more structure in the day. I have used this kind of daily, which was very structured. And so the fact that I can kind of switch up my dailies and my weeklies especially to fit the way that I am planning is really one of the things that I love the most. For a while I used this. This is from the Planner Room shop because I didn't have much going on during the week. I have a feeling, yeah, this was towards the end of school, so this was like probably this, yeah, the second week in May, because that is my granddaughter's birthday. Then I went back to using over the summer just like a simple, the sort of OG horizontal weekly because we're off in the summers and our days weren't very scheduled, and so I kind of went with that for a while. And so really then I bought these because it had a grid, so I didn't have to worry about like my writing kind of going on a slant. Then I used a week on one page for June because we literally had like nothing going on. So I mean, the options are endless and they can get a little bit overwhelming, but I do think that like once you sort of realized that you don't have to be locked into anything, this is when I started kind of playing with my layouts, and I sort of cobbled together a week on 4 pages. So this insert is just, you get the 4 boxes. That is from PeanutsPlannerCo. And then I use this insert so that I could have like a running task list, then like a week on one page for just like a weekly overview. And then this is where I really started experimenting with using 2 weeklies. So I had the weekly overview, and then I started doing my timed weekly, and then on the back I did a week on one page again as like a little space to journal. And then I included just a line page so that I could kind of take notes if I needed to. So I guess that's 6 pages, but everything was all together. But then I think it just kind of became too much. So it really just can be as flexible as you need it to be. Maybe there's a time when you're like planning monthly, weekly, and daily, but you decide you don't need a weekly. Then take the weeklies out and just plan monthly and daily. Like however you need it to function for you, you can set up the system that way. My number 2 reason is that it is both functional and you can make it as pretty as you want, or you can leave it straight at functional. For me, having a planner that really works hard in terms of tracking and planning and recording, in addition to having a space to open up and kind of work in that makes me happy, is really important. I struggle a lot, and I've been pretty open on this channel that I struggle with my mental health, and so being in something that I know is necessary, but it also just like being a place that I like to hang out in, is really good for like, it's really good for my mental health. It gives me like that little, I don't know if it's like serotonin or dopamine or whatever you want to call it, but it fills in all of those little receptors making the things that like my brain doesn't make on its own. And there's nothing like turning on a TV show as background noise and pulling out all of my planner stuff on the couch, opening my planner, and really being able to dive into the actual like planning process. Like yesterday, I had my little planner basket on the couch in the living room. I was watching, I don't know, something on back, like I think it was like SVU season 19 was on for background noise, and I spent like an hour planning out my goals for the week. And so just being in my planner and it being like a pretty place for me to be makes all of the difference. And I know that's like not important to a lot of people, but it's important to me. being able to kind of set it up in a way that is pretty and like aesthetically pleasing and makes me want to be in it is really important for me to want to even pick up my planner. I think if it was just a blank something with like to-do lists, it really would not speak to me in a way. But I like being able to open up my planner. The first thing I see is this beautiful piece of artwork and kind of photos of my husband, cute little bits that have significance to me. I don't always decorate my pockets, but I can. And then just being able to make little collages with photos of my kids and make graphics on Canva so that not only do I know where everything is in my planner if for some reason I forget, but I can just open it up and it's just a pretty landing spot for things. I love being able to look at pictures of my family because they are what is kind of driving me this year in figuring out like what my purpose is, which is my word of the year. So being able to have pictures of my parents who I have lost in the last few years, creating these little sort of moments of softness with kind of collage elements, I love. And then sometimes it gets to be overwhelming and I can just pull all these bits out and the guts of my system is still here and still wholly functional, which I love. Being able to remember that my youngest was this adorable little toddler and now he's almost as tall as me at 11, although I'm not very tall. So the bar is not that high, literally not that high. And so that is really important to me. My aesthetic changes right now. I'm sort of feeling this whole like vintagey, ephemera, scrapbooky style. It has not always been that way, as you can see, but I think it always feels like me. I think if for some reason I lost my planner and they opened the inside and all they saw was the name Courtney, anyone who knows me would know like, oh, that's the Courtney that this planner belongs to. And so I do encourage you to make it your own. Maybe you're not like a florally kind of aesthetic person. Maybe your thing is much more minimal. You can put in, what are those called? I know Cloth and Paper does them a lot, where it's just kind of like words of affirmation on your dashboard, words of encouragement. Maybe you just want it like color coordinated. You could set it up that way. Anything that really sort of engages your other senses, I think is really kind of important. And this definitely is like a feast for my eyes when I'm in here. The third reason is that it really keeps me grounded. I think sometimes I don't give myself enough credit because I'm often quick to say like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. But when I really list out all of the things that I need to do, all of the sort of everything from like the day-to-day tasks to kind of planning things out in advance for our family, the kind of running around and errands that I do, trying to like keep up with my adult kids, checking in with the grandkids. That's like a lot in and of itself. And then there are all of these creative projects that I am really diving into this year and really trying to make something of them. And so with all of that going on, I really need a place that keeps me grounded, that doesn't feel overwhelming, a place where I know like all of the information is. When I was in a bound book, my life looked different than it does now. And so I think when I flip back through these books, I can see that I dedicated much more time and energy into sort of memory keeping and taking note of sort of things that were happening during the day, throughout the week, whatever. And I loved that for that period in my life, because I think being a stay-at-home mom, like, you really do have the tendency to kind of wonder, or at least I did, I don't want to speak for everyone else, to kind of wonder, like, what exactly did I do with my day? And so my planner and the way that I planned was a lot different than it is now. And that is why I love my rings, because it does keep me grounded. There are a lot of things happening in my life right now. I'm juggling different projects. I'm attempting to kind of make a go of these creative things that I want to do. And because I have never really worked outside the house, it is really important for me to figure out a way to work that lets me wear all the hats that I need to wear. I need to be able to have the time to take care of my family, to take care of my home. I need to make the time to dedicate to writing my book and working on my blog and learning different things to make those to make the things that I want to do in those areas of my life better. So I need to I need to turn on that part of my brain that is like, okay, now it's time to get to work. This is what your day looks like. This is the time that you have. You need to get these things done. And I think that while I love flipping through these books and they hold such just really good memories, some memories not so good, but I do think those things are worth remembering and noting. But it's too distracting for me right now, and I need to focus my energy into the projects that I really am working on right now. And there will be time for this. And I do, one of the reasons that I even started using a day on 2 pages again was so that I would have room to kind of write a little bit about the day if I wanted to. But I have my memory keeping, and I transfer these little notes into another planner that I don't use throughout the week. It's sort of my yearly archive, so that I have a place to put those things. But right now, currently, I don't need them in my planner because I need to really concentrate and manage my life in a different way. The fourth reason is that it really has become an important part of like my creative sort of businesses that I am working towards. It, in a sense, has become my own administrative assistant. There is an element to being a creative that is obviously like all of the create the things that you want to create, whether it is drafting my book, whether it is working on something for YouTube or posts that I want to make on my blog, ideas that I have for Instagram. Like I need a place for all of that stuff to live. It's not just waking up and kind of creating. It took me a while to figure that out for myself because I always thought that having a plan and like a timeline took away from the creativity of it all. But I finally realized that if it is something that I am wanting to pursue in a way where it becomes my work, then I definitely need to have plans and, you know, see calendars and take notes and ideas about all of that. I need a way to kind of track income and expenses, and if there are sponsorships, like things that I need to fulfill some of these other things. And I have never really worked outside of the home, so I was not familiar with the idea of having something that supports your work no matter what it is. So, I mean, obviously I don't have an administrative assistant. Maybe I will one day, but for now, this is what is filling that role. Like I said, this really has become my administrative assistant in terms of helping me figure out what I need to do for all of like my creative sort of side hustles that I have going on. So I like being able to come in here and have a place to see exactly what my goals are for this month and the things that I need to do in order to accomplish those things. A place to kind of review and think about how my month went, what I could have done more effectively, more efficiently, what I may want to bring forward into the next month. And there is like my content ideas, and when I get I can't really like show them, but I have a place in here where I can land when I get ideas. Sometimes I'm out and I'll have like an idea for like a snippet of conversation or something that I'd like to add, a detail that I'd like to add, or I'll randomly like hear names and I'm like, oh, that would be a good character name at some point. So I have like a list of names in here for future characters in future books. And it has my calendar of my writing tasks and like my writing goals for the year so that I can stay on track with that. So, I mean, I don't know what it's like to have an admin, but for me, this is working fabulously to have this section with me at all times. And I really kind of debated about whether I needed this section in here or not, because like if I'm at my kids' school, do I really need like a work section in my planner? Probably not, but at least I know it's there on the off chance that I do need it. I don't know. It doesn't take up that much space. It gives me peace of mind, and it really helps me manage like my creative life. And the fifth reason that I really love this planner specifically, and to me it kind of ranks right up there, is that it like brings me joy. And I think especially right now, things are so heavy, and I feel a lot of the time like a lot of things that I worry about or I'm concerned about, I don't really have control over the outcome of that. And as a person who doesn't really enjoy not being in control of things, that makes me anxious in and of itself. And so as a result, I tend to internalize a lot of the heaviness that is going on around me, and that makes my mental health kind of spiral. And so for me, it is really important just to like reclaim things that bring me joy, just for the sake of I'm doing this thing because it makes me happy to do it. I decorate this planner because it makes me happy to do it, and there doesn't need to be another reason. Like, it doesn't have to be functional. It can just be pretty because I want to open my planner and see something pretty every day. And so I have been operating this year with the idea that reclaiming joy and expressing our joy is a tiny little act of protest in a world that really seems out to make things as hellish for a lot of us as it can be. So yeah, if working in your planner brings you joy, then reclaim it, and you don't have to explain it to anyone. It just brings me so much joy to come and look in my planners, look at all the photos, look at all the things that I have been able to accomplish. I think sometimes I am really hard on myself and don't give myself a lot of credit about the things that I do, or I don't even remember the things that I do. So being able to go to my planner and see like, well, hell, I have actually done a bunch of shit this week. Go me. Or being able to look back and kind of seeing notes about the week. Maybe I was having a bad day and it's the end of the week and I'm feeling better, and I can kind of see the over the course of the week how my mood got better and my energy level increased, and that makes me happy. Like seeing this picture of my parents before I was even born, when they were probably in their mid-30s, like that brings me joy. Being able to look back at last month and go through this list and think of all of the little moments of gratitude that I had during the month that are just like the smallest moments, that brings me joy. So like I said, I think that it is important to have that just little bit of joy and excitement, happiness, whatever you want to call it. Reclaim that little bit in your daily life. I think that's really important. And so I feel lucky that I am able to have this in my planner and swap it out if it's no longer bringing me joy. I can change it up. I can add things. I can take things out. it becomes whatever I need it to be. These are my 5 reasons for loving and being firmly in a committed relationship with my ring planner. I hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you have tried rings and you're firmly team rings, let me know in the comments what sort of solidified it being your #1 planning system. If you've been sort of on the fence or maybe even a little bit afraid or feel overwhelmed by rings, let me know in the comment section if there is any sort of tip or advice that I can give you. I will happily do so. But thank you so much for spending part of your day hanging out with me. And if you enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button down below. I post videos on Tuesday and Friday, and I would love for you to be here with me every week. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.